fund budget.
Absolutely.
Like textbooks, school buses is another one that y'all mentioned. But replacing computers, retiring debt, and some capital improvement projects such as, I think, paving parking lots. Those are the things that it does, you know, and those are the only things that can be spent on. But if those things, if we didn't have eSplosh, and for instance, we needed all these textbooks because all the ones we have are damaged or cannot no longer be used, or we don't have enough, it has to come out of the general fund.
And from the taxpayers' perspective,
Well, I was going to say is, yeah, sorry, I'm in my dirty clothes today. I was working outside. But as somebody who studied some of these problems probably more than I ever wanted to, I have to agree with Dana. eSplosh is not the cure-all. All the promises that were made with the last eSplosh, you know, pretty much were dashed once the eSplosh was passed. We were essentially told that we were in great financial health, and then once people were elected in the primary, then all of a sudden we desperately needed an eSplosh all of a sudden. Yeah, I mean, really, I think what it
Well, I'm glad, I mean.
But let me finish, if I could. And you know, I'll say this with people who are going to be on the board of the room. We've got some very systemic problems that need to be addressed. It's not a matter of, are you going to pass an eSplosh or not? We've got to have some people in place who are going to make some very tough decisions. We have had literally a debacle for the last 8 to 10 years where we have bought property and land speculation. We bought stuff that we absolutely did not need. We built schools that the records and the census numbers and the building numbers, I've seen all of them, indicated we did not need to have. We've spent millions of dollars on schools, retrofitting them, only to close them down a year or two later. We've got to have people who are going to make sound financial decisions. And you know what? The superintendent is in charge of conducting the academic affairs of the board. The board is responsible for making sure that the superintendent is doing his or her job, but the main part of the board's job, especially today, is making sure that we're making sound financial decisions and that we're doing things that build a quality system, not only today, but in future years. And right now, our current board has driven us right off a cliff. And unfortunately, that's where we are. Will eSplosh help? Well, I had a woman from the Board of Education. She asked me, am I going to oppose the eSplosh? And I said, what's the eSplosh going to be used for? And she goes, well, she didn't really know. It was going to be a broad range of things, and they're just going to be using broad categories. And I said, well, if you don't know what it's going to be used for, why are you supporting the eSplosh? And that's the kind of problems that I'm having. If we're going to have an eSplosh, I want to know exactly what we're going to use it for. Because if we need that kind of money, you should have a reasonably detailed idea of why we need to have that kind of money. That's just common sense. So, I mean, I would like to see everyone tell me specifically where that money is going to go. But I think we've got to have people with this redistricting proposal and on the financial side, and you have got to have the hide of an alligator. You have got to be able to take severe beatings in the public because you are going to get them. Get ready, it's coming. But you've got to have people who can dig in and make the decisions to get us out of the hole that we're in. Because what we have done for the past 10 years is we've massaged these redistricting things to keep one subdivision in a district they should have never been in. We built schools in the most rural part of the county where we have 76 students at Inman Elementary that live within a half mile of that school. It's utterly ridiculous.
Let me ask you a question, because I appreciate the history, but so the eSplosh, I'm getting some information, I'm not sure if it's true or not. Is it true, because we have a 20 mil school fund, we have another few mills that we use to pay off bonds. Is it true that if we pass the eSplosh, then we can reduce that millage rate? And if we don't pass the eSplosh, that splosh, the millage rate goes up. So from the taxpayer's perspective, is
There
it
is-
sort of
as
a
a-
wash?
You know what, I
That's
can
a
answer,
practical
I can
matter.
answer that for you.
You know,
Jim,
let
me just
I'll
say
answer it, I'll answer it.
I think I've got an important point here.
Okay, let me answer first and then to
Okay.
your point. Okay, if you look on your tax bill, it's the bond that you're getting the discount from. It's not in the millage rate, it's a separate item on your tax bill.
That's correct.
So that goes up or down depending on whether we pass
Right.
any splosh.
So for example,
So it's a mill or two.
they have that on the website where it lists every year how much you're saving on your property tax because of the e-splosh. And there is a savings, like this year I saved $259 on my tax bill because of e-splosh.
So if you spend
And
less
if
than
you look at your tax bill,
$30,000
you'll find it on there.
of taxable items, then you probably
It's the
will.
cost benefit.
Right, so that is a good reason for voting for it. And you know what, this is my position. I have to be prepared no matter what happens. If it passes, I have to be, that would be great. If it doesn't pass, I have to be prepared to balance the budget
Absolutely.
anyway. So in my position, I'm gonna look at, if I'm elected, I know, I'm gonna have to deal with it if it doesn't pass. And so it would be nice if it does pass.
And I appreciate your answer, because
That's all
just
I'm
as
saying.
just as you would go to a doctor because you're sick and you can't diagnose yourself, you have an expertise that I believe you're trying to get across to the public and saying that you're coming out to be on this Board of Education. So you're putting yourself out there as being an expert in this field. We all look to experts in the field to figure out, and we'll weigh what you have to say against what others have to say and make our own decisions. We all will. But my point was, and always has been, I just want to hear what you are saying, because you want my vote, and to get my vote, I need to understand where you come from and what your thoughts are on all of these things.
I'm
So I
realistic.
appreciate,
I would like it.
and I do, no, I do,
Either way,
oh,
I'll
absolutely,
deal with it.
absolutely, and that's what I'm
That's
doing.
what I'll do.
Let's move on, please.
Okay.
I was thanking her for answering it.
Thank you, Anna. Jim, and you know what? We have two special guest speakers, and I want to give them a chance, and I also need to poll all of you about your opinions on these things, so I would like to take a poll with these in just a minute. Go ahead, Jim.
Well, here's the way that the East Bloss is developed in the state of Georgia. There's 179 school districts in the state of Georgia out of 159 counties. 95% of those school systems in the state of Georgia have an East Bloss.